Hey everybody, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Terry Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, intuitive astrologer, Reiki master, and empowerment coach. And I'm here today with this week's Pick Your Angel card reading. What these readings are focused in on is giving you an opportunity to use your intuition as to which spread will be most appropriate for you. I usually do 3 spreads, but this week I thought I would do something a little bit different. I'm going to do 3 spreads specifically focused on money and 3 spreads specifically focused in on love. And it's your job to set your intention for your question and then allow your intuition to lead you as to whether it's the first reading, the second reading, or the third reading. You can obviously look at as many readings as you want, but I think the number that comes to your mind first is going to be the one that's most likely Spirit's message for you. So I'm just going to jump in. I'm going to start with our love readings, and then I'll move on to our money readings. I have pre-pulled the cards, and I pulled, for those of you that chose love reading number 1, this is the High Priestess. Harness your mystic powers. And I want to say it this way because the first thing I notice on this card is the cat. And part of harnessing your mystic powers could be having healthy boundaries in relationships and really looking to see how much your intentions, your needs, your desires are being fulfilled in your current relationship, or if indeed when you endeavor a relationship that you consider your needs and what you want. Oftentimes when someone has been single for a long time, they will make concessions that on a long-term basis will actually be erosive to the relationship. So I think what the High Priestess is saying overall as a main theme for this reading is to have healthy boundaries in relationships, and maybe even to keep some people at arm's length when you love them, but you know that there's certain challenges within those relationships. All right, so in our first position, the foundational position for angel reading number 1, we have Maya and the deer. And that's very interesting to me because when we're putting up healthy boundaries, sometimes we're fearful that it will break the relationship. And I think it's really how we do it. And oftentimes when we wait and we're in so much fear that we can tend to explode in our emotions. And I think this is an opportunity for those of you that picked love reading number 1 to see and to learn about how gentleness and diplomacy as you express yourself will take you. That's the foundation of this. Expressing yourself and having the wherewithal and the intention to do it in a way that will be received. I want to offer it this way. If you can speak to your loved one, whether it's an intimate partner, your child, a good friend you consider a sister or a brother or a family member, whatever the dynamic of the relationship, it's going to bring it to a healthier place when you're willing to express yourself in a manner that is able to be heard. So expressing in the way that you could receive this communication, because in your opportunity or your obstacle is the Queen and Omega victory. This is about friendships. It's about reception. It's about, when I say reception, it's about receiving something coming to me with ease, not having to force myself. This is very much an opportunity for you because as you in your love life express healthy boundaries, there is a very good possibility that you will be treated with more respect and with more dignity. And you may not have even thought that you deserved that, but it could be something where the other person didn't even realize they were hurting you, offensive, or crossing your boundaries in some ways. The angel is saying in the angel's advice, there is an abundance of love being offered to you. And even if you're single and your love life has looked like tumbleweeds, then this is very important about setting the boundaries for yourself. Healthy boundaries. Just because you have not been in love yet doesn't mean, or maybe you've been in love but it hasn't turned into a partnership, it doesn't mean it cannot. And so as you do this and you learn from your own diplomacy, and then you think of yourself as something that is deserving and that receives love, you will know victory, because Serena is the angel of abundance. And in this particular case, this is an abundance of love and loyalty and sincerity, but you have to allow it in and invite it in. So if you're in a situation where you're already in a relationship and you have a certain history with that person, you're going to think, this is how they show up. This is how they show up. And you could talk yourself out of your own communication, your own healthy boundaries, your own opportunity to feel empowered in your relationship. And I think there's a good possibility, and yes, there is, that this will be well received. There is the eagle, which represents the connection to God and the angels. It also represents integrity. And there's Vanessa saying, what do you visualize right now? Focus on that and it will come about. Negativity is like a cog in a wheel. And this is what you have to learn. This is the foundational position. Meaning this is where you sit. You're learning about your fears and how you shouldn't avoid them, but rather express them in a way that someone else can hear it. And I think they will feel an appreciation. Even if they don't agree with what you're saying, they may just agree with how you said it. And in doing so, create a bridge. All right. That's angel reading number 1. Love angel reading number 1. Let's go on to love reading number 2. For those of you that pulled angel reading love number 2, you pulled the drum. And then it says dream and journey. And while I agree with the idea of dreaming and journeying, it feels like that would be focused in on love. But when I think of the drum, I think of the heartbeat as the original drum. And I think about the idea that we're going into the season of Leo, and Leo represents the heart. And it represents our own personal expression. So I think this is an opportunity for those of you that picked angel reading number 2 for your love body, that you start to really look into your heart and the rhythm of your heart within your relationships, and how is that being fulfilled. And if for some reason there's challenge attached to that, then it is an opportunity for you to go into your soul body and start to really dream and journey as to what it would feel like when you're feeling fulfilled. Oftentimes the human tends to focus in on the problem. And when they try to imagine the solution will appear, but it feels a little bit like Marty McFly in Back to the Future, in that photograph where his family is fading in and out. So then our brain boomerangs back to the problem. So if you find yourself in that kind of place, then just the opportunity to say, I allow my heart's desires to come to me. I allow myself to receive love. I deserve love, but mostly I allow it to me. All right. So, and here we go. So those of you that pick love reading number 2, Celeste talks about a move to a new place of an employment or a new home. And for me, I really don't think that a move of my physical body changes anything. It's more about my attitude, my perception of something. So Celeste is offering me an opportunity to shift the way I'm thinking. And in doing so, I feel like I'm blossoming like the butterfly. I've been through a tremendous transformation. For those of you that picked angel reading number 2, it is a challenge for you to follow your heart, to trust your heart. I feel like there's a boomerang back to fear or obligation, or maybe even a bit of undeserving. You know, sometimes when we've had challenges in our life, it is so difficult to feel that we deserve good things. We can deserve them from sort of a mad energy, like I deserve good things, but the deeper, do I believe I'm going to receive good things? And that's what's being offered to you. As you start to shift your perception, you'll come out of this cocoon of darkness and see yourself from a whole new perspective. And your opportunity and or your obstacle is your perception. And this truly is your obstacle, and your opportunity is to keep charging ahead. Just as I had said, you're coming from the dark and into the light. This mystique always reminds me of the song Out of the Dark by Gloria Estefan. She had been in a bus accident and suffered paralysis for a while, didn't know if she was going to regain the use of her body as she had known it, and she was quite a dancer. So she wrote this song, and indeed she did come out of the dark, but her perseverance. So this is a perseverance in your perception and how much you believe you deserve love, and how much you believe it's even viable, that there's even somebody out there. Because in the angel's advice, love in the form of Chantal is being offered to you. Love is imminent. And if you're in a current relationship, there's an opportunity to shift your perception of that relationship that brings new life into it. Because here's the high priestess. And the high priestess speaks of prophecy, of vision. But to me, this is a soul's contract. But part of it was me having to go through a certain journey alone. And that journey would have been to shift my human perception into a deeper knowing of what my heart really deserves. Because in the final position, you've had challenges believing that love is coming. And we have Vanessa saying, are you going to operate on faith or fear? And the wasp is saying, you've been hurt. And it's hard for you to grasp the idea of really believing that love is coming to you. It's difficult for you to follow your heart in love. And I want to offer it this way. This is our foundational position, and this is our potential outcome. The wasp in real life, in nature, attacks the butterfly when it is in its stage of having emerged from the cocoon and its wings are drying from that process. So it's a very vulnerable stage. So your gentility with yourself, rather than your focus on how you've been hurt, because I don't want to negate your hurt or your pain, but the opportunity to use that as a tool of contrast, really. It's almost as if you could start to think of your love life as you invite in the balance, you invite in somebody who appreciates you for who and what you are, for everything about you, then you get to walk along this earth sharing that story with other people who are sitting in a challenged place of faith because they've had a hard road. So for this, there's a full moon coming this week. I wasn't going to mention it in this video, but it's in Aquarius. And it's at the first degree, which is the Aries degree. And it's the first of 2 full moons in Aquarius. The second will be at the 29th degree a month from now in August. It's an opportunity to really illuminate yourself by looking at not only what's happened to you, but sometimes maybe your own perceptions kept you in a situation longer than you should have been there. And now it's a time not to be angry with yourself, but just say, that's the choices I made then. These are the choices I'm going to make now. And I'm going to let this full moon in Aquarius liberate me from the old thoughts. Because Uranus rules and Saturn rules Aquarius. And Aquarius rules my own hopes and desires, my wishes. And as I fulfill those wishes, I bring them back to the collective, to humanity, and I represent. So you have an opportunity, but you're going to have faith, and you're going to have to allow your mind to shift to a place where you deserve beauty. All right, here we go. On to love reading number 3. In the foundational position, not the foundational, but the overall energetic theme is the heart guardian. Love and let yourself be loved. This is a beautiful card. She's relaxed, she's serene, and we see her heart has this adornment is the way I want to put it. It doesn't feel like a shield. It doesn't feel as if she is not brave, but she knows that the heart suffers many journeys. It's not just something that receives good things or happy things, but receives many experiences that keeps asking me to dig deeper into the human experience to understand why sometimes unpleasant or distasteful experiences happen. Because it's never, rarely is it just some sort of anomaly out of nowhere. Oftentimes, the parties involved have their own personal journeys that led to some experiences that may have been challenging. And now is a time to let those challenges serve you, to allow those challenges to go deep into your heart as a way of saying, without those challenges, I wouldn't know how much this feels good. So let's see where Spirit is taking us this week. This is a time of self-care, and there's the risk involved, because I venture to say, for those of you that picked angel reading number 3, let yourself be loved. It's a risk. This is what Bethany is echoing what the heart guardian is saying, because she's talking about taking care of yourself. And while we can take care of the physical body, it does not satiate the way the heart does. So now is a time to risk that you are enough and you deserve to be loved. Because while you have been confused and indecisive, or I want to say this, those are the words confused and indecisive that are on the face of the card. For me, it feels more like there's been a lack of potentially magic, which is made of fog. I almost feel like those of you that picked angel reading number 3, at some point you had this deep belief in love, and the journey of life has dinged it a little bit, and it's made it challenging. So this is what I think that Merlina is talking about. But the bee is offering you victory to continue to believe in your heart. Because again, while humans, there are many humans on the planet, there are not always, as we evolve into individual beings, the alignment may not be as obvious or as prevalent readily. So as you invite it in, as you risk saying no to that doesn't serve you, or no to that doesn't feel good, and then step out into an open space, you give the laws of attraction an opportunity to bring in dynamics that you didn't know could happen. Because here's the Grail Knight. This is about romance. And sometimes I think in the past you have been, fallen prey to the romance of and the illusion of romance. And now this is about seeking the sacred of partnership. And as you trust yourself, you keep swimming up through your own emotional ocean, destiny will meet you there. The whale represents destiny, represents the soul's calling. So this is a time to be very gentle with yourself, because love will come. It will be magical, but it will have come as a result of you going into the depths of your own heart to see where there might be darkness, and then making that darkness work for you. Because the raven represents magic, coincidence, and synchronistic events. So you have to remember, to be in a partnership, there has to be 2 of you. So even though you're doing the work, you've got to know that person has got to be doing their work or getting on their journey to meet you. But Aurora is saying you're flying high right now. Don't descend, because you will soon inspire others with your example. And what you will inspire them by is, because I started to take care of me. I started to think that as I was in this partnership, if I take care of me, I'm actually a better partner. And if for some reason taking care of me is drifting off into the place of you feeling selfish, where's my screen? Sorry, a call came in. If indeed this feeling of I lost my train of thought. Let me regroup. As you've gone into this journey of looking at your own love life, and you've seen the challenges you've had, they are very much On the brighter side, on the lighter side, on the transformed side, they are the identifiers for what you didn't want in a relationship. And I tend to think those of you that picked love reading number 3, you don't take care of yourself in relationships. And so they could get a little bit abusive. Sometimes in that dynamic of wanting to please another person, they get so used to you pleasing them that they don't try to please you. So you're wondering, will I ever win? Will I ever find the love I want? And Spirit's saying yes. But part of it is kneeling down to your deeper truth and continuing to follow your heart through the emotional body. Oceana represents our emotional body. And sometimes things are clear and sometimes they're not. But follow your heart and you'll always meet your soul's destiny, because it's time. It's time. So invite it in. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go on to our money readings. So these are specifically focused in on any questions involving money and finances. So money reading number 1, we have the lady. Oh, she's a fun energy. She says, enjoy growth and reap rewards. And if you look at her, she kind of reminds me of my friend Amy a little bit. But the apple is a very abundant fruit. You can notice the way it's cut. You see the star. There's all this greenery in her dress and in her head, her hair wrap. All of that is money, abundance, and feeling a flow of it. There's a sense of security attached to it. So I want you to note also her hands are open. You know, she's not gripping the apple. So I think that's going to have something to do with your energy, is to receive, again, your bounty. So in the foundational position, we have Teresa and we have the owl. This is, to me, is saying that the growth part of what the lady is offering you is to identify where you're worried. We have the owl, so this makes me feel like worry comes and goes. Sometimes I'm feeling like I'm doing well with my money, everything's flowing, and other times I start projecting into the future and I get a little locked up and scared. And it's time to really turn that worry over and start to see that the seeds that you have sown will become abundant. In your opportunity and your obstacle, we have the rebirth and rebirth card, and we have Isaiah saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations, that you are being watched over and guided. There is, what this looks like to me is that the people that picked money reading number 1 have experienced sort of a roller coaster. And if you're in your own business or your own, you're a salesperson and you're involved in or have influence over your own income, the ebb and the flow might mean that you're tired. And I know it will sound weird since we've all been home and in COVID, how could I really be tired? I really want to get out and have fun. You could be tired because you need to have fun, or the blanket of the universe in large has been heavy. So honor that, because there is a rebirth coming. And the angels say how you will do that is to start to look where you have resistance in your emotional body and to have compassion for yourself as you learn about this journey. Oftentimes, I don't know why it's coming so strongly that this is focused on people who have a lot of influence over their own money, because when we play, we actually feed our financial body. When we play in worry, not so much. So I want to offer it this way. Part of your growth is to see that if you feel overburdened and you feel like you're starting to say, I have to do this, I have to do that, I need to do this, slow down. Because as you allow for it to be an opportunity, I get to do this, I'm excited about doing that, then you're going to start to see a shift in how that brings in more money. Because in the final position is the Earth Fairy, which is a new foundation, but also I feel like this represents Taurus for me right now, setting new ground, and I'm learning how my connection to spirit brings my abundance. So let me offer it this way. When I talk about spirit, when I talk about source energy, I feel like I'm talking about a formula in some way. What we think about, it manifests. And when we consciously try not to think about something, we are putting in a resistant energy. So the whole thing is about sort of a flow, like feng shui. You want everything to kind of go like this. So as you find yourself in a bit of worry, and you say to source energy, I allow my abundance in. I allow evidence of the ease of the flow of my work or the flow of my money. That will start to alert spirit and put your focus in abundance, which will kick in the laws of attraction. But the laws of attraction are only as good as the law of allowing, how much you can allow a situation to transpire, because it's a baton pass. You put in your order, you start to attract the situation you want, and then spirit starts to bring in the components to bring that into your earthly experience. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 1 about money, this is really about an interior emotional body that's setting the platform for your abundance moving forward. Okay, that's that. Let's go on to money reading number 2. We have the Knight. Be brave and honest. This is really amazing because this Knight actually has, you can't quite see it on the screen, but he has a bit of a tear in his eye because there are things that he knows that he has to do. And I want to put it this way, it's not negative, it's more about being brave is about being brave where I'm co-creating my own experience. Being honest about the idea that I'm working hard, but do I believe in what I'm doing? Or am I working hard hoping I'll make that sale? Oh, I'll make all those calls, I'll get a sale. But yet each call or each rejection or each time you get hung up on, it's building this feeling of, and that's where I start to not like what I'm doing. I don't like this. It sounded like I would be able to make money fairly easily, but this is not fun. So somewhere there is a main theme for those of you that picked angel reading number 2 about money, for you to be brave and honest about how you're making money. Every job you have will be beautiful, or not every job will be beautiful, but everything you love will have a sense of beauty, but there's always going to be thorns on that stem. So you're also going to have to be brave about your willingness to push through some of those thorns when you're on the path of your own dreams. And when you're on the path of your own dreams and you're feeling like you're going in a cul-de-sac, stop the car. It'll give you a chance to get your bearings. All right. In the foundational position is Akasha and the protection card. Akasha is the spiritual teacher. So spirit is teaching you something and you're being protected while you're learning how to be brave and honest about how you want to make your money or how you want your money to be received, meaning how you want it to come in. And I want to offer it this way because I've heard many young people say that they want, I just want a job to make money. I don't care what the job is. I just want to make money. And what they don't know is that that paycheck gets super small when you're miserable. And I don't care if that paycheck has 6 zeros attached to it. So I think this is where the bravery and the honesty comes in because, if you're heading down a road that is becoming clearer and clearer that it's not quite for you. I, for a long time, was working in Hollywood. I worked on television shows. I worked with really neat people you'd probably know their names still, even though I'm a mature woman. But it really wasn't what I wanted. I thought it was what I wanted at the time because I was really looking at how other people would receive and what they would think of me because I worked in Hollywood with all these cool actors and people, but it wasn't who I wanted to be when I grew up. It wasn't who was authentic to me. So I think something's going on with that. Because those of you that picked money reading number 2, we have the movement card and Shanti, the angel of peace. So as you are brave and honest with yourself about what makes you happy, about what you really want to produce in the world and how you want to make your money, there will be movement. But right now, this is also an obstacle because there is no movement because there is a lack of peace In the angel's advice, we have the king and Isabella. The king is not representing a man right now, although he could be. But with a large group like this is about justice. It's about being fair, and it's time to be fair to you. Money is, oftentimes people will say that money is a indication of confidence, of how much somebody believes in themselves. And frankly, that's very true, because money comes to people whose character is, I don't really want to judge anyone's character. That's not my job. But, the masses do that. And money comes to people with good character and bad character, because it isn't about character. It's about focus and about walking down a path of what you truly want to experience and what you truly love. So that's what Spirit is saying. It's time to move towards your peace. This is the chapter your soul has created or signed up for. And this is the astrological dynamic to bring that forth. So if for some reason your day job is cracking up and you think it's secure because it's paid you a certain amount of money every week, you have a potential to be much more secure. And what is blocking you is believing that there are 9 lives. That's what I really think. I think that when we get onto this human journey, when you go to a party when you're adult, there's first 2 questions are, oh, hi, how are you? What do you do now? Are you married? Okay, there are 3 questions, but I'm not sure they always ask you how you are. So Archangel Uriel deals with frustration and anger, and the cat deals with independence and healthy boundaries. So I want to offer this way. When you're honest about what you want to be and what you want to produce in the world, then you start to muse on that. And I'll tell you, you will go into a place of, well, how will that happen? And how will I get the money for this? And how will I do that? All of that's not what you're supposed to think about right now. What you get to think about is what it feels like when you're experiencing that. What does it feel like when I'm experiencing, my own capabilities, my own power, and finding others that find benefit and are willing to pay money for that. I think this is really what's on the table. So let's say you're an artist. Let's say you're an actor, but you haven't been paid to act yet. How much do you want that? Because if you want it so other people will think you're cool, it may be a rough journey, because it's really not authentic to your heart. And that's where being brave and being honest comes in. But if indeed you say, I love to be a creative being, and this is from my heart, from what I want, and I really hope you like what I want, but if you don't, it's okay, then I think you'll start to find yourself course correcting, and your money will start to flow, because anger blocks money. Frustration blocks money. Unforgiveness blocks money. All right, let's go on to financial money reading number 3. We have the autumn, release the old and rest. So something's going to happen in the autumn time for you, that's for sure, because when the season card comes out, it indicates a period of time. But I want to offer this too. The raven is in one of the decks, represents magic and coincidence, and it sits on a skull. And in Native American cultures, the raven goes into the underworld to really dig deep and comes back transformed. And that's why there's magic. So I believe that the releasing the old and rest is an opportunity to create magic in your life as you allow yourself to turn the page on a chapter. And that chapter, interestingly enough, is represented right here by the Baird. And it may have something to do with it's interesting because Sonia represents a deceased loved one. And we're talking about money right now. And I mean, people could inherit money, that's true. But I also want to offer this, that you have someone watching over you. This represents your team, your heavenly team that's watching over you as you start to rewrite your story, as you start to actually celebrate the challenges that have given you resources, mental resources, tenacity, endurance. Because in the opportunity or the obstacle, it has been a burden for you to assert yourself. And when you have asserted yourself, you may have run up against burden. And this is part of what has to be or gets to be released. And when I talk about release, I'm rather an assertive woman. So releasing something, I have a Taurus moon, I don't really forget things. I find incorporating the experience, it makes me be able to reconcile it, balance it out and turn it into a tool for me. So there's a couple things that could be going on. Either you're over asserting yourself or you're under asserting yourself. But in either way, it is about asserting yourself in balance, knowing when to put the gas on and when to take the gas off. And this is part of how we're rewriting the story. Because in the angel's advice, you may have been dominated by fear when it comes to finances. And yet at the same time, I want to offer this. Somehow you've made it through. Somehow in the 11th hour, that bill got paid. Something happened. Even if you found yourself with the lights turned off, there's something where there's an offering and of an illumination. Because I think that really it's time to assert yourself out of the burden. I talk a lot about the laws of attraction and our focus. And while this didn't come up necessarily so far in the reading, anything you focus on, you start to draw to you. If you meet someone that you like from Montana, you'll start seeing everything about Montana. License plates, tourism ads, it'll be amazing. So as you pay attention to your focus, and if your focus is constantly on, I don't have, I need, how am I going to do this? Then that's, you're kind of you are contributing to the co-creation of it. So in the final position, this is a little bit of a challenging spread, number 3, there's the human ego. And this is where I've been edging God out. This is where I've been working so hard to figure out how to fix the problem that I'm not allowing God and the angels to do so. Because Fiona is saying now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving. So for those of you that picked angel reading number 3 regarding your finances, in the autumn time, something is going to shift for you. And if you're working, and I want to say, when I say the word working, I mean being conscious. Be willing to be conscious of your self-talk, being willing to be conscious of how many times you affirm your lack. Because in October, we're going to have 3 planets that have been retrograde moving forward again. And we're going to experience a final square between Saturn and Uranus in December that's going to break the old and give us a new opportunity. And it's something that's really rather exciting. And the more prepared we are and aligned to our own vision, the more we can receive the abundance and bounty that will be offered. Because no matter the climate out there, no matter the financial climate, when you're aligned to your own abundance, Spirit will find a way to fulfill that abundance. And that's what those of you that picked angel reading about money, for number 3, sorry, I'm a little choppy. That's your energetic alignment. That's your opportunity to align to this, because they'll give you all the money you want. It's your willingness to align to the idea that you believe it. And if you look at some people who have a lot of money, you'll see that they believe they deserve that money. I don't know if they're nice people, but they believe they deserve the money. So that's it for this round of Pick Your Angel reading. If you'd like to book a private session with me, my information is below. And I'll be back sometime soon with another installment of something. I look forward to it. Please like, please subscribe, please share, please comment. I love all that stuff and I read it all. I don't always get a chance to comment back, but I appreciate it. So everybody take care. I hope you enjoyed your love and money readings, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.